Good morning again, distinguished guests. Distinguished guests and librarians from across the world, it is my pleasure and privilege to welcome all delegates to the International Federation of Library Associations and Institutions 85th World Library and Information Congress. The Greek National Committee is honored to host you in Athens. From the papyrus collection in Hadrian's library to the digital libraries of today, from the buildings where philosophical and intellectual discussions were held in antiquity, to the lending libraries that developed in the 19th century, to the learning hubs of today, libraries have reflected the changes in human civilization and have evolved to keep the conversation between thinkers, those who hold the pen, and those readers, learners, and researchers who read their words. I am Lilian Papazoglou, high school English teacher and college counselor at Athens College, and I will be your host for today's opening ceremony. I, as an educator, am dedicated to starting those conversations with young minds about getting them to think, to engage, and to become the writers, researchers, the citizens of tomorrow. So it's normal for me to want to inspire as many people as possible of any age to walk into a library and say, I could live here. I hope, of course, that you are also enjoying our Greek hospitality and feel you could live here also. Before we start, may I remind you to please turn your phones to silent. Ladies and gentlemen, to get our ceremony started, would you please welcome to the stage two of the co-chairs of the National Committee, the President of the Association of Greek Librarians and Information Scientists, Ms. Alexandra Papazoglou, and the Director of the National Library of Greece, Mr. Filippos Tsimpoglou.
Distinguished guests, Deputy Minister of the Ministry of Education and Religious Affairs, Ms. Gloria Perez-Salmeron, President of IFLA, Mr. Gerald Leitner, Secretary General of IFLA, dear delegates, I would like to welcome you to WLIC 2019 on behalf of the Association of Greek Librarians and Information Scientists and on behalf of the National Committee of the Congress. We are delighted to have representatives of the library sector from 137 countries.
And I would like also to welcome you all on behalf of the National Library of Greece and the National Committee of the Congress. We're delighted to be able to host more than 3,500 delegates in our city of Athens.
Since the theme of the Congress is about change, dialogue for change, we decided, Filippos and I, to welcome you in the form of a dialogue instead of a monologue. What do you think, Filippos, about dialogue?
Well, Alexandra, dialogue, our keyword, has a long tradition in this country, the home of philosophy. In this city where Socrates developed the famous Socratic method, which used the dialogue as a method for reasoning and finding the tools. Why do you think our theme, Dialogue for Change, is important for us, librarians, for our libraries, and the citizens that we serve?
Dear Filippos, dialogue fosters change, brings together different points of view that reach a constructive synthesis, provided that each side wants to listen to the other. Our theme invites the international library and information community to discuss, to re-examine the role of libraries as motors of transformation in this rapidly changing world. I believe our national committee was a good example of a successful dialogue. I do believe that. We listened to each other and collaborated successfully among ourselves and together with IFLA and KIT to bring this Congress to life. What do you think about it? Do you agree?
I couldn't agree with you more about our excellent collaboration. It is obvious. Among the Library Association and the National Library, among individuals from the National Committee, and our collaboration with IFLA and KIT. Without it, we would not have been able to overcome the many challenges we had to face. Really, do you think Athens was a good choice for this Congress?
Well, Athens, with its new National Library that you are leading, with the new Stavros Niarchos Foundation Cultural Center, and the new developments in libraries during the last decades, was a perfect choice to host this Congress. This is what I think. Let us not forget that the city, after the 2004 Olympic Games, has become an international hub. In 2018, it was designed as World Book Capital and European Capital of Innovation. It was time to invite librarians from all over the world to see the change. Do you think the experience was worth it for us, players in the preparation of the Congress?
The road was really difficult and paved with many challenges. Please permit me to remind you and all the audience that we have in the same time of period, in parallel, to run our professional jobs, all of us, and in the library, we had also in parallel to run the project of the historical translocation of the National Library to the new building. We faced difficulties with frustration and sponsorship, fundraising and sponsorship, that we had to overcome. We had to overcome frustration setbacks also. But all of us agree that the experience was worth it. As a result of our efforts, we can now welcome you all here and offer everybody the opportunity to meet, discuss, share new ideas. And now we're looking to the outcomes of this conference.
Yes. The outcomes will be new ideas that librarians will bring back home to better promote the role of the libraries as vital institutions that enhance people's lives. Librarians will once again be empowered and will face with more optimism the many challenges to innovate and keep up with the social and technological changes. I would like to add here that I especially hope that our Greek colleagues, the Greek librarians, will go back with more optimism and empowered to face the daily difficulties they have in their professional lives, because they do. And I would like to add also that many of them would not have been here today if grants from private organizations were not given, were not offered. And now, time to thanks. We would like to thank our co-chair, Christina Kyriakopoulou, our colleagues, Eva Semertzaki and Yorgos Glosiotis, who envisioned this conference, and our committee coordinators, Andonis Morikis, sponsorship, Eva Semertzaki, library visits, Anthika Tsirikou, press and promotion, Yorgos Glosiotis and Stefania Merakos, social events, Vasilis Tsiboukis, visas, and last but not least, Evgenia Vasilkaki, coordinator of volunteers. And
we are all volunteers.
Yes, of course. And of course, all the members of our committees and our wonderful volunteers. Thank you very much. Also, our thanks go to Helen Mandel for a perfect collaboration, Deputy Secretary of IFLA, and Roberta Obedrecht for KIT. Thank you very much.
And I would like to thank you all and our local sponsors. Please permit me. Our great donors, the Stavros Niarchos Foundation, and the Stavros Niarchos Foundation Cultural Center. And I continue with the first donor, Ekaterini Laskaridou Foundation, first in time. Thank you. The Onassis Foundation, Bodosakis Foundation, Elval Chalkor, the Bank of Greece, thank you. Ernst & Young, Helling, Orzel, the Collective Society, Opanda and the City of Athens, Unisystems, Elidoc, Paris and Kitty Kyriakopoulos. The conference would not have been realized without their generous support. And last but not least, we both would also like to thank Gloria Perez-Salmeron and Gerald Leitner and the governing board of IFLA for trusting us, despite the difficulties and the economic crisis, to realize the World Library Information Conference 2019 in Athens. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Papazoglou and Mr. Tsimpoglou. That has certainly got the dialogue started. How can we start an IFLA conference without hearing from the woman who has been so active in encouraging libraries everywhere to be the motors of change? Please give a huge welcome to the IFLA president, Ms. Gloria Perez-Salmeron.
Hola, welcome, bienvenue, bienvenidos, willkommen, dobro posolovat, ahaliam, big Huaning. And of course, Kalosi Thate, Kalimera. Welcome to Athens, to the World Library and Information Congress. And I can see that the world truly has come to Athens to join this conference this week. In person, as you are here, and online. Welcome to all you are tuned in this hall. Greek colleagues, you have made it happen. It's here. We are in the cradle of European history, where more than 3,000 years ago, the first settlement was created on the rock of the Acropolis. During those thousands of years, Athens went through times of glory and times of decline. But Athens writes a new page of history today, welcoming thousands of librarians from all over the world. It's a new page of the history. So the library world is connected by being here in person or at the Megaron or by joining us online. I had to give you many thanks, especially to our Deputy Minister of Education and Religious Affairs, Mrs. Sofia Saharaki. Thank you to be here with us. To our Greek donors, whose support has made this event possible. As we are in Greece, I would particularly like to acknowledge the Stavros Niarchos Foundation, the Stavros Niarchos Foundation Cultural Center, the Katerini Laskaridis Foundation, the Onassis Foundation, the Bank of Greece, and the Vodosakis Foundation. To the National Library of Greece, and as well as his director, also chair of our national committee that you have learned 5 minutes ago, the director of the National Library and his co-chair, Alexandra and Filippos Ocharisto. To our national committee that you have taken on the major task and delivered, you have made this happen. Again, I would like to thank you all for your work. To Greece and its 600 librarians that are here with us, we have been seeing so much great examples of your work and your institutions during these last months in our newsletters. I know that we will know many other things in the coming days. We will go to 70 library visits, so this is great. Thank you to everyone that has put together such a great program, to the officers and members of our standing committees and special interest groups. I am really looking forward to seeing the results of our Greek work. To our division chairs and other members of the GB that you are sitting in the first rows, thank you very much for your work. And of course, to IFLA Secretary General and IFLA staff. I have already thanked the National Committee, you know, but I wanted to thank them in particular for choosing the theme of this conference, Libraries Dialogue for Change. Dialogue is about a change and learning, about giving everybody the opportunity to listen and to be listened to. It gives a positive message, a dynamic message, and an empowering message, a message really close to my own theme, that you already know, libraries, motors of change. Because dialogue, interaction, is vital. Just as in any motor, a single gear alone can do little. What makes the difference is when the gears working together interact, dialogue. And the more gears we are involved, are engaged, the more powerful our movement, our momentum, our ability to enact change becomes. This, of course, means a new way of working as the global library field. Because to change the world, we must be ready to change ourselves, our methods, our mindsets. And I'm glad to say that under the guidance of Gerald Leiner, our Secretary General, this is happening. IFLA has facilitated a dialogue for nearly a century. But now, we are truly moving up a gear. This is the way that we like to work in IFLA, my dear colleagues. We do so by moving forward a participatory and inclusive organization to create a stronger, a louder voice for libraries, to build a global united library field. Since my first acceptance speech in Wrocław, I must insist on saying how proud I am to be a librarian. I'm so proud to be a librarian. Yeah, I am. Absolutely proud, because I'm still excited, and I can feel as well your excitement in this transformative journey that IFLA is making together, working towards a united library field. Dialogue amongst ourselves with hundreds of colleagues all over the world allows me to be inspired, to move up a gear myself, knowing that we are a big team. I'm from Barcelona, you know, so I would like to say we are a dream team, like Barça. You know, we are a dream team. And now we can see the new examples where we are receiving in the SDGs stories in IFLA's library map of the world, but also the examples of how libraries are changing policies, changing the settings of society. Last year, in Kuala Lumpur, I mentioned the successful case of Bibliotecarios al Senado in Colombia. Today, I would like to applaud those hardworking librarians who influence national strategies of achieve the Sustainable Development Goals through libraries, who made politicians understand that libraries are motors of change in Chile, in Australia, in Switzerland, also at the local level, where the voluntary local review of Helsinki had in its own cover, you have guessed already, a library. So, all of them have my support. IFLA's support in their advocacy towards making the change happen. You know, there is so much to be said about dialogues. I have been privileged to be part during my presidency. I invite you all to come and follow my final president's session tomorrow, Monday, from 9:30 a.m. in this room. I'm really pleased to bring together 12 speakers to share some of the dialogues for change, which have most marked me over the last years. I hope they will mark you also, because this is my contribution, my main goal here, to ensure all participants here in the Congress and in person and online can take forward the message of libraries as motors of change and share it in their communities, to break down silos, to work with and through the Sustainable Development Goals, to change libraries and the societies they serve, to update our own mindsets through the global vision. I would like to finish by saying once more, dialogue has enabled the motors of change, and we are ready. We are ready to move up a gear. It's our duty and our opportunity, because societies are better, fairer, stronger, and more diverse thanks to libraries. We are now going to hear from IFLA Secretary General, who has played such a role in leading IFLA on this journey. So join me in a warm applause to welcome Gerald Leitner.
Thank you, Ms. Perez-Salmeron. I would now like to invite the IFLA Secretary General, Mr. Gerald Leitner, who has been leading IFLA's own transformation, to provide his words of welcome. Please welcome Mr. Leitner.
Good morning, IFLA. Good morning, colleagues and friends here in this spectacular room. It's wonderful to see you here. It's great to be in Athens, Greece, in such a beautiful, vibrant, and interesting city with such a great history, where democracy was born and where sources suggest the first public library was created nearly 2,500 years ago. So it's the perfect place to hold the World Library and Information Congress. But astonishingly, we are here the first time with our Congress. We have certainly to celebrate it this week, to be in Athens. But of course, I'm aware that even so many of you have traveled far to get here. Many others have not been able to make the journey. So I wish also a good morning, maybe a good afternoon, good evening, or even good night to colleagues outside of this room all around the world who are watching this opening ceremony via live streaming. For the third time, IFLA will live stream some of the most popular parts of the World Library Information Congress, and we will deliver it to the global library community without any cost. And because IFLA always wants to grow, to improve, to become better, our live streaming offer is also better than last year. We will give colleagues from all over the world the chance to participate in 11 sessions over 5 days, more than ever before. This will allow you to get a taste of the conference, and for sure we want to see all of you next year at our Congress in Dublin, Ireland. Because by joining us, you are helping to build a critical mass, both to make change happen within our field and to promote libraries, their services and values globally. So it's fantastic to see you all in this room, to feel your energy, to feel your good vibes. And it's fantastic that the Congress starts now officially. We have really worked hard for 2 years with the Greek National Committee to make this happen. And I have to say you, my respect for their work has grown constantly through the process of planning this event. Because despite all this beauty and great history of this city and this country, we should neither ignore nor forget the difficult conditions under which our colleagues are doing their daily work here in Greece. In the context of one of the most dramatic economic and social crises in recent history, they are doing their best for the people of their country, and they have given their best to make this conference happen. They deserve really a big applause. We all know here, libraries can make an important contribution to overcoming this crisis, and public investment in libraries shows a sense of civic responsibility and vision. So we strongly encourage the new Greek government to recognize that libraries are a vital ingredient in counteracting some of the most demoralizing aspects of the current economic crisis. And we strongly encourage the new Greek government to give libraries sufficient support and to enable their efforts to improve people's lives in Greece, in this wonderful country. Dear all, this is a really special Congress, a defining moment in IFLA's ongoing development. And when I say IFLA, I mean all of us here. All who believe in IFLA's values, in the importance of equitable, meaningful access to information, in intellectual freedom. All those who work hard to deliver great library services that deliver better lives. And all those who advocate for libraries to governments, to funders, to influencers, to communities. This is a really special Congress, because tomorrow we will be launching the IFLA strategy 2019 to 2024. A strategy that is unique, both in its development and its delivery. Over the last 2.5 years, we have organized the biggest, the most inclusive conversation in the history of our field, the IFLA Global Vision. Over 30,000 people from 190 countries, from all 7 continents, shared their hopes, their ideas, their priorities. They gave us the most extensive, the most inclusive insight into the priorities of our profession ever. But more than this, a movement was born, because all of those people, many for the first time, connected with each other with the global library field. This is what the Global Vision brought us. It became our guiding star, and through this, it has steered us in building a roadmap for the future, the IFLA strategy. Now, it is almost time to share these results, to make the final step from vision to strategy to actions. Our governing board, my team at IFLA headquarters, and our professional units are hard at work already, developing action plans to support all of you. Hundreds of actions which will contribute to our goal, a strong and united library field powering literate, informed and participatory societies. But with this strategy, we want more, we need your contributions. Because just as you have been the key to the development of the strategy, you are also the key to its success. We need your actions, your energy, your drive. Just as IFLA works to inspire, to engage, to enable, and to connect you, we need you to inspire, to engage, to enable, and to connect those around you, outside of this room. Our strategy is a call to action. Give a strong answer to the call. This is your chance, this is your opportunity. In doing so, you will strengthen the global movement to improve libraries and to improve the lives of people in all parts of the world. So I invite you to the grand reveal of our strategy tomorrow morning, 11:45 to 12:45, here in this room. Find out how you can be involved, how you can power the field, how you can answer our call to action, how you can become part of the IFLA family, how you can become part, an active part of our movement. I'm sure we will surprise you with many things, and I have the chance to surprise you also now. I got the latest number from this Congress. We have 3,636 participants. And listen now, this is really a great joy for me to announce it. They are coming from 140 countries around the world. I have never heard a conference so internationally like this here in Greece. Colleagues, I'm convinced we are going to have a vibrant Congress here in beautiful Athens. Over 250 sessions, more than 500 speakers will give you a unique opportunity to see the full richness and potential of the library field at work. Use this opportunity, become an active part of it, build your network, become part of the movement we are creating. I look forward to meeting as many of you as possible during the conference, to getting your ideas, to getting your feedback. Have a great conference, see you all in many fantastic sessions and exciting meetings that are coming up. Make the most of the most international library information conference in the world. Enjoy and have fun. I wish you a wonderful Congress here in Athens. Many thanks for coming here.
Thank you, Mr. Leitner, for such an inspiring speech. We are very pleased to have with us today Ms. Sofia Zacharaki, Deputy Minister of the Greek Ministry of Education and Religious Affairs. The Ministry of Education and Religious Affairs is responsible for the majority of libraries in Greece. We are delighted that Ms. Zacharaki could join us. Please welcome her to the stage.
Well, thank you very much for that. And taking stock of this very lovely and vibrant dialogue that the two former speakers performed here on stage, are we excited that we're here? Yes, we're so excited that we're here. Καλώς ήρθατε. Welcome to Athens. You know that politicians usually say a lot, so don't be afraid. I will just remind myself that I used to be a teacher, and I used to keep myself short and succinct as much as I could while I was just on the opposite my former students. So on behalf of the Greek government, I would like to welcome you here to Athens, and I would like to express, of course, my sincere gratitude to Mr. Leitner, the Secretary General, the President. Such an inspirational speech. I promise I will definitely cheat at the end and copy a phrase that you mentioned. And of course, all the members of the IFLA governing board for extending the invitation and requesting us to welcome you here in Athens for the 85th World Congress of Library Science and Information. It is also an extra honor, maybe some of you know it, that there is a Greek representative in the governing board for the first time in 90 years. And I think that this also constitutes a very important element for us as well. You brought together more than 3,600 participants. We have here representatives from more than 140 countries. We're extremely honored for that. This year, Congress, supported by the Association of Greek Libraries and Information Scientists of the National Library of Greece, focuses on libraries, dialogue for change, and sets once again the international agenda for the profession, offering opportunities for networking and professional development for all delegates. Coming here to this amazing building, I was thinking about the title that you used, Dialogue, and what a more appropriate place than Athens to perform this dialogue, and change. And here in Greece, change, I would say that we're on the cornerstone of performing major changes in our country. We need them, but also challenges. And I think at the end of this conference, you will have discussed about a lot of the challenges that this profession faces. It has to do with funding. It has to do with constant professional investment. It has to do with all this information and technology, rapid change that is taking place. Libraries are a meeting place for the communities they serve. Everybody sees themselves in a different role when you enter a library, from the mother with a toddler to the researcher who's coming into a library in order to take stock of the amazing information inside. Nowadays, they have proven to be extremely resilient as places of knowledge, discovery, and hubs of vibrant community, truly information literate. Libraries will always be central to individuals who want to explore, they want to interact, they want to imagine providing open knowledge, reliable information, and constant inspiration to dreamers, but also to doers who want to change the world. As Greece contributes over the years to the sharing of civilization, this conference is another opportunity for the host country to showcase the status of libraries and information science in our country, as well as to encourage and facilitate positive spillovers of the ideas, skills, and experiences and knowledge in a unique way, as the universal values of democracy, freedom of opinion, and freedom of expression were born and developed here in Greece. And at this point, I would like to proudly inform you that here in Greece, the public school has opened its door to a network of libraries, and now we take pride in announcing that more than 1,565 schools participate in this network. They have created libraries. And here I would like to ask you to give a very warm applause to the person, the teacher, the librarian in every little village around Greece who takes extra pain in organizing this library and providing this unique knowledge to our children. So let's just give this applause. Not only to your colleagues, who in these turbulent times, they managed to persevere and definitely put up a struggle in maintaining this unique profession, but also to every single person who is trying to do that in the most remote village of 100 people still living in rural Greece. Now, as time of accelerated changes and reclassifications, due to a rapid development of technology, this library where you work in constitutes this meeting place, as I said, a place of knowledge, of reading, as well as a place which ensures access to new worlds and ideas. And as the digital age flourishes and mindset change, the image of libraries has changed as well. They are no longer these storage areas of printed material that only a few can consult after visiting the physical space. The digital age enables libraries to offer remote services, enables libraries users to access more resources, and makes libraries the leading providers of not only conservation, but mainly the dissemination and promotion of science and culture. Fortunately, modern libraries worldwide, with their attractive architecture, original ideas, and extravagance to new technologies, redefine the concept of reading space and attract new readers. In Greece, we are extremely proud of our new National Library, located at the Stavros Niarchos Foundation Cultural Center, an architectural accomplishment, an impressive public space, open to all, where everyone has free access and can participate in a multitude of cultural, educational, athletic, environmental, and recreational activities and events. And at this point, I cannot but mention that the Ministry of Education and Religious Affairs, which I represent today, coordinates, guides, and supervises the transition of the National Library of Greece, the leading library in our country, into a new era of openness and innovation, supported by services such as digitization, conservation, and access to e-resources accessible online. DRO. Thank you. Dear all, as I promised to the President, I will definitely copy a phrase that he mentioned. I hope that you can all make change happen. And with these words, I would like again to welcome you to my country, and I really hope that this Congress will really be able to produce all the necessary outcomes that you can take back home, apply, and make the change happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy Minister Zaharaki. A conference of this size and complexity would not be possible without the support of donors and sponsors, who you will see acknowledged throughout the conference sessions and on screens before and after your sessions. In particular, we acknowledge the Stavros Niarchos Foundation and the Stavros Niarchos Foundation Cultural Center for their recognition of the importance of culture to society and their willingness to support it. I would now like to invite Ms. Eleni Agouridi from the Stavros Niarchos Foundation to say a few words. Please welcome her warmly.
Distinguished guests, welcome to Athens. On behalf of the Board of Directors of the Stavros Niarchos Foundation it is our great pleasure and honor to be part of the 85th World Library and Information Congress. We have followed the work of IFLA over the years, and it is a privilege to be here to experience the Congress firsthand. The Stavros Niarchos Foundation is an international philanthropic organization, and since our establishment in 1996, support for libraries of all stripes has been an important focus of our grant-making. Libraries occupy a unique, in a literal sense of the word, and irreplaceable position in society. To quote sociologist Eric Kleinenberg, who sees libraries as an integral form of social infrastructure and exemplars of public institutions that serve as the bedrock of civil society, libraries are the kind of places where people with different backgrounds, passions, and interests can take part in a living democratic culture. In Greece, as mentioned before, SNF has been proud to support the work of the National Library of Greece, including the building of its new state-of-the-art facilities. As part of the library's transition to its new home, SNF has also supported the conservation, digitization, and expansion of its collection, staff development, as well as numerous internships that complement the National Library's fulfillment of its operational needs. The National Library's new premises are a core component of the Stavros Niarchos Foundation Cultural Center, created through our foundation's largest single grant to date, and given to the people of Greece in 2017. Following the handover, SNF announced its commitment to continue supporting the SNFCC for 5 years. Tuesday's cultural event will be taking place at the SNFCC, and we hope that you will truly enjoy your time there. In the United States, SNF has provided a landmark grant for the complete renovation of the New York Public Library's Mid-Manhattan branch, which will reopen next year as the Stavros Niarchos Foundation Library, a beautiful public space which will welcome all New Yorkers. SNF's expansive long-term support of libraries worldwide includes grants to a number of other libraries, including the British Library, the National Library of France, the Library of Congress, and the Library of the Athens School of Fine Arts. The Central Public Library in the northern Greek town of Veria is one of more than 150 public and municipal libraries in Greece that have been supported by the SNF through the Future Library Network. Last but not least, SNF's support of the Cultural Pass initiative in New York has enabled the city's 3 public library systems in Brooklyn, Manhattan, and Queens to collaborate in order to offer through hundreds of branches in the city thousands of free passes to a large number of New York City's cultural institutions. We are grateful for the work all of you do to bring libraries to life and make them places where people with different backgrounds, passions, and interests can take part in a living democratic culture. On behalf of all of us at the Foundation, we wish you the best for a thought-provoking, enlightening, and energizing Congress. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Agouridi. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now going to enjoy a performance by director and choreographer Sofia Spiratou. Ms. Spiratou founded the dance group Roes and is one of the most important figures in contemporary Greek theater. The videos are by video artist Nikos Soulis. Enjoy the performance.
No.
Wow. Thank you, Ms. Piralto and Mr. Soulis, for this feast. Of colors, shapes, sounds, and movements. Incredible. We're now going to hear the keynote address delivered by Dr. Loukas Tsoukalis, Professor Emeritus of the University of Athens and President of the Hellenic Foundation for European and Foreign Policy. Please welcome Dr. Tsoukalis.
I'm afraid I cannot match the earlier performance, but I shall do my best. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great pleasure and indeed an honor to address such a distinguished and large audience. I should like to thank the International Federation of Library Associations and Institutions, more particularly the organizers of this World Congress in Athens, for their kind invitation and for the opportunity to share some thoughts with you on important issues facing us all today. The main theme of your Congress this year is change. It is very well chosen, if I may say so. Change is in the air, to paraphrase an old popular song. Although I'm less sure about love, which is what the song was all about. Change is happening everywhere, and it is very fast. Technology and entrepreneurship usually lead the way, but politics determines the context, and social forces set the limits. You have wisely added dialogue as a corollary to change. I presume you mean dialogue within our individual societies and between them in today's interdependent world. I would add the word management, joint management to be exact, because change, technological and other, brings with it both opportunities and risks. It is up to us to make the best of the opportunities presented, I'm sure there are many, while minimizing or controlling the risks. And some, I must admit, are pretty scary. The stakes are indeed high. Let me give a few examples, starting with geopolitics. During the last 30 years and more, we have witnessed a rapid liberalization of markets and the opening of economic borders, leading to a large increase in international economic exchange, as well as the creation of global companies and global supply chains. We call it globalization. It has contributed much to economic growth, while also helping to bring hundreds of millions of people out of abject poverty in what used to be called the Third World. These developments have been the product of political decisions and technological progress. You need both to make it work, as we know from experience. In the process, the world economic map has changed dramatically. China's gross domestic product, as the most prominent example, has multiplied 37 times in real terms since 1978, according to World Bank data. I don't think there is any historical precedent, although admittedly starting from a very low base. India and other countries, mostly in Asia, are rapidly catching up as well. Rapid economic growth, backed by increasingly indigenous technological prowess, is now being translated, in turn, and with a time lag, into political power. The result is that the geopolitical tectonic plates are shifting from the west to the east. This is bound to be a long-term process, perhaps inevitable from a historical perspective. The political and economic hegemony of the Western world, with the United States of America at the center of it for many decades now, could not have been expected to last forever. The new emerging powers have borrowed much from the old developed world in terms of both economic organization and scientific knowledge. They will not necessarily adopt Western political models as well. We shall need continuous dialogue, careful diplomacy, and a great deal of collective wisdom to manage the transition to an increasingly multipolar world, but hopefully also multilateral world order. This world order needs to be based more on common rules and less on the old principle that might is right. History teaches us that such transitions can be extremely destabilizing. What's at stake is nothing less than world peace, a common good for us all, without, however, forgetting that peace and individual freedom need to go hand in hand. After all, peace with the others and oppression at home is hardly an inspiring prospect. In the struggle to improve our material conditions, we have often chosen to ignore the effects of human activity on our planet. It's got much worse in recent decades. Climate change is undoubtedly the most pressing issue facing humankind today. There is now close to consensus among scientists that human activity is gradually destroying our planet, and we do not have much time to act before it's too late. But effective action to deal with the existential threat will require radical changes in the way we live, consume, and travel. I'm afraid most of us are apparently not yet ready for such changes. We are also far from agreeing on the distribution of the burden of adjustment between and within countries. And only to make things worse, there are politicians and lesser mortals who still deny the existence of the problem or go as far as denouncing the carriers of bad news as enemies of the people. In Greek, from ancient time, we've also called such people demagogues, which is, of course, a Greek word. You know, we did not only discover democracy in this country, but also many of the other things, good and bad, that usually go with it. Surely, environmental sustainability is a common good, and it is our joint obligation towards our children and grandchildren. We better recognize this fact and collectively act accordingly and fast. Let me now move on to a different subject. The revolution in information technology as an essential ingredient of globalization has literally changed the way we live. This revolution has empowered billions of people by providing usually free access to information and knowledge, while also creating an interconnected world. But we now know this comes with a price, and we are learning about the price in installments and often by accident. We have learned, for example, that our lives and masses of data about us can be manipulated. We are discovering to our shock and horror that the free internet may also become the multiplier of fake news and hate speech that are polarizing our societies. It can become a very destructive weapon in the hands of extremists and totalitarian regimes. Hence, we have begun to raise awkward questions about who controls the big data about us all and for whose benefit. Digital companies have so far failed to provide adequate answers. We certainly do not want to undo the benefits from technological progress, but we need public regulation as a means of protecting pluralism, social cohesion, and human rights, privacy being surely one of them. Let me move on. Artificial intelligence and biotechnology, among others, offer huge opportunities for humankind. Scientists tell us of mind-blowing developments in the years to come. We should rejoice, open our minds and hearts to the new opportunities available for human empowerment, but we should also tread carefully. There are all kinds of questions about ethics, the nature of work in this new environment, also about social justice and inclusiveness. We shall need to address these questions in order to ensure that new technological developments are a great opportunity and not a threat. I've just mentioned social justice and inclusiveness. During this latest phase of globalization, inequalities of income and wealth have widened considerably, more within than between countries. This trend has become very pronounced in parts of the developed world and has produced all kinds of protest and anti-globalization movements. It does not matter much that economists are not sure about the extent to which this growing inequality is the result of free trade, technological change, or, more broadly, the ever-shifting balance between state and markets. Those who perceive themselves as losers or just feel left behind in times of rapid change are seeking protection behind high walls and in nationalism. Identity issues produce an explosive mix with economic issues, and demagogues are always there to make political capital out of public discontent. They pretend to have easy solutions for complex problems. I tell you, it will not be enough to simply expose the political tricks of demagogues. We need to go further and address directly the causes of public discontent because they are real. Otherwise, the benefits from global interdependence will be at risk from the rise of nationalism and populism. The signs are already there for all to see. With your permission now, I should now like to turn to a revolutionary political experiment we've been running for several decades on the continent of Europe. An experiment that many of us Europeans are proud of. Europe, as you know, is a small continent, relatively speaking. rich in history and wars, rich also in science and culture, enormously diverse for its size, a continent, to be honest, that has produced the best and the worst in terms of political, economic, and social organization. In the decades that followed immediately after the end of the Second World War, some Europeans began to write a totally different chapter in European history. It is about peace and reconciliation between old foes, cooperation and the opening of borders, democracy and the rule of law, strength in unity. The project of European integration grew rapidly over the years, both in terms of functions and members, from two sectors of the economy, namely coal and steel, to just about everything now being discussed in European councils, and from 6 members to 27 after the UK leaves, but with more to come. The countries that had invented sovereignty a few centuries back have been experimenting for almost 70 years now in sharing sovereignty and jointly managing their ever-increasing interdependence. You may call it some kind of postmodern empire, an empire based on broad consensus, democracy, and the rule of law. This is indeed a revolutionary political experiment which may have lessons, useful lessons, to offer in today's interdependent world, while recognizing, of course, the limitations of applying such an ambitious experiment on a global scale. The project got into trouble in recent years as Europe was hit by multiple crises, including a financial and a migration crisis. The good news is that it has survived, sometimes against the odds, and very much against the predictions of all kinds of doomsayers. In very bad weather, the European project has proved its resilience, relying, when it came to the crunch, on the strong collective instinct of survival among Europe's leaders and the big majority of our fellow European citizens. But there is no denying that Europe has paid a big price in political, economic, and social terms, the imminent exit of the UK being part of that price. Many of the problems experienced across Europe in recent years are very familiar in other democracies around the world. Polarized societies with widening inequalities, winners and losers from economic and technological change, the rise of identity politics among people who feel the world is leaving them behind, populism and policy failures. The list is long. Our cherished democratic systems will be at risk if we fail to deal effectively with these problems. So will be our common European project. Let me conclude. Private initiative and entrepreneurship, together with technological progress, have been key drivers behind the latest phase of globalization. But global interdependence requires common rules and joint management. It also requires stable political systems and inclusive societies that are free, informed, and confident enough to engage with others in the joint management of public goods. This is one lesson, important lesson, we have learned from European integration over the years. Libraries, of course, have a key role to play as guardians of the memory of the world and keepers of knowledge. Provide access to your invaluable wealth. Help to inform and educate without prejudice and discrimination. Make wide use of new technologies. Engage constructively in dialogue and cooperation across borders. I can do no better than to quote from your Global Vision report of 2018. I quote, "A strong and united library field powering literate, informed, and participative societies," unquote. This would surely make for a much better world to live in. I should like to thank you for your attention and for your patience. And I should like to wish you and I wish you a very successful Congress and a highly enjoyable and productive stay here in Athens. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Tsoukalis, for such excellent food for thought. Music and dance are an integral part of Greek culture. Let us now enjoy a folk dance performance by the Lycian dancers. The Lycian των Ελληνίδων was founded by Kalliroi Siganou Parin in 1911. Kalliroi herself was more than a dancer. She was also one of the pioneers of the Greek feminist and volunteer movement. Please welcome the Lycian των Ελληνίδων. I hope you all enjoyed the wonderful folk dances that also gave us the opportunity to travel to various regions of Greece, from the Peloponnese to the south, to Macedonia in the north, the Ionian Islands to the west, the Cycladic Islands and the Dodecanese on the east. Thank you for such a fantastic performance. And now I would like to ask President Gloria Perez-Salmeron to officially open the 85th World Libraries Congress.
Thank you, Lillian. So, dear colleagues, I'm honored to declare the World Library and Information Congress 2019 open. Thank you. Welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end, the conclusion of our opening ceremony. Thank you and have a fantastic Congress. Thank you all for being here.